back to Gumps podcast. Sorry if we had some technical difficulties, but yes, for those who don't know, it doesn't exist who weren't there live, but we are back. What's going on, Leo?
What is going on, my man Gumps? Great day today.
Yes, sir.
We have a lot to talk about. I'm so excited about it.
Yeah, and that is you. Just gotta double check. Yeah, I'm doing good. So, Leo just mentioned something that hit close to home. We were talking about how, like, I have to, like, I'm currently stuck using Share Factory to do these podcasts for you guys, which I have a lot of fun doing. And then he mentioned about being stuck on an iPhone before. That hit hard. That hit home. And it was crazy because I didn't have Wi-Fi, never had a computer until I had YouTube. And it was probably a year and a half in I started getting Wi-Fi and all that stuff. But dude, I want to hear your, like, how that whole journey happened, how you ended up growing from going from a phone to having a podcast and all this other stuff. I want to hear that.
Oh man, so it started back in after college. I got out of college in 2015 and I went to college for music. And I thought I was going to be either like a touring musician or own a venue or something like that. Well, didn't happen. So me and my buddy decided to start like a video podcast because that was back in the days where Facebook Live was first popping up. So we were looking at it as an opportunity to get ourselves in front of a new large platform, and neither of us had a camera. So we just said, fuck it, let's just go off of our phone. And we just started talking about like geeky stuff every single week. Actually, he still runs the show and I still appear on it. It's called Comic Convos on Facebook. And it's been going on since 2015, into 2015. When did Rogue One come out? Was that into 2016?
Rogue One, I think that came out, yeah, that came out 2016, I think.
Yeah, so it was into 2016 when we just started up, went live, and then I loved it so much that I started shooting other stuff. Like I would just copy other YouTubers and start shooting on my iPhone. I ended up landing a job at a TV, working for a TV show, and through that job, like I got all these other experiences. Like I just learned and soaked in all the knowledge I could from the people around me and just started like shooting videos. And I mean, a lot of it was goofy shit for YouTube, but that's kind of how it started with the iPhone. And then I continued running lives, and I said, okay, it's time to step up, and got a DSLR when I got on YouTube.
That's really interesting. And you mentioned that you are working on a TV show. You want to go into details about that? What do you do? Like, what's your job, and what is it?
Yeah, man. So I'm actually, in the daytime, I am a digital producer at Daily Blast Live. It is this entertainment TV show that shoots in, I want to say, 40 different, it broadcasts in 40 different states, and we shoot here in Denver. I've been working there for 3 years, and as a digital producer, I shoot, I edit, I basically create packages for social media, and for YouTube, for Facebook. Like, I essentially create content for our digital audience. We not only broadcast on TV, but at the same time we stream live on Facebook and YouTube. So I also help manage that workflow too. It's been a really nice learning experience, getting to learn how to like use cameras and from pros, like from industry veterans. So it's been a blessing for sure.
That sounds incredible, dude. That's awesome. I know, for me personally, like, I've never been so certain about something in my life. Film is my life. If it be TV, like the big screen, whatever. I know media is my passion, and getting to hear someone else's success story or just their experiences is such a cool thing to hear. Just like, because I always feel like I can pick up a new detail, like, oh, he did that, maybe I should try that. And it's just so fascinating that how so many different people from different worlds just like have the same passion, and they get to the same road, essentially making content. It's such a beautiful thing. That's why I kind of like YouTube, because I would have never met you or Chris, Nico, Sam, just all these people I got to meet through YouTube, and it's all because we have one passion, and it's just creating content. For us specifically, it's on a much grander scale because we want to make media, we want to make TV shows, we want to make movies. That's our passion, and I think that's so freaking cool, dude.
I agree, man, and I just want to real quick finish off with Geekly Goods, which is my current venture. I started that up in 2018 as a, believe it or not, a e-commerce store I was literally like selling Marvel merchandise out of my trunk or either online through drop shipping, one or the other. And then I ended up loving content creation a lot more, so I turned into a YouTube channel and a blog, and here we are, man. But let's talk about your story, man. I mean, I know this is your channel, so I'm sure subscribers know, but tell me a little bit about yourself.
I mean, there's not really much to tell. Like, for a long time, I've been into superheroes. Like, I already told my story about that, like, how I saw Spider-Man as a kid. And I'm like, dude, this is the coolest shit ever. And,
oh my God.
Dude, and I remember it was like, what? I was probably like, I saw the first one on, like, VHS. For those who don't know, it's a big block. It's a brick. You stick it in, and then if you lose the tape, it's fucked forever. So, like, it's like, I remember that. But that's where I watched Spider-Man 1, and I'm like, this shit's so cool! I saw Spider-Man 2 on the big screen. I think that was, like, my first movie I've ever seen on the big screen, and I was, like, freaking out. And, like, I have ADHD, and as a kid with ADHD, you tend to be a kid times 50. My mom couldn't barely handle me. So she's like, okay, Spider-Man, he seems to like that. And then I was dead silent the entire movie. And I was just like, my heart was racing the entire time. I was enjoying it so much. And it was at that moment I knew I liked superheroes. And then I got, Ultimate Alliance. And then that eventually made me a big superhero fan. Oh my
God, yes.
Dude, masterpiece of a video game. I love it. I beat it like 17 times already. It's a bad addiction. But I ended up watching the MCU, Iron Man, X-Men, all these other movies, and I'm like, I'm loving film. And then I became officially a huge film guy around 2013. I started watching a podcast about movie news, and that's when I decided, like, yo, I'm gonna create a YouTube channel. And then a year later, I took that YouTube channel and actually started making content. My first video I've ever made, it's not on YouTube anymore, but it was a review of Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies.
Ooh.
I remember, I was on my phone, screen up like that. It was vertical. It was garbage. It was bad. I remember this is how I recorded it. I was like, yo guys, so I'm gonna here talk about Battle of the Five Armies, and I try to make a joke. Like, I remember the first joke I've ever made on my YouTube channel was how, like, little pebbles were killing these orcs, these big giant creatures with, like, metal armor, and these pebbles that hobbits were throwing at them were killing them. I'm like, and I remember that was the first joke I've ever made. It was delivered in such a monotone way that it doesn't matter if you were my mother, my best friend, or someone who I saved your life from falling off a train. You're not laughing at that joke, no matter how hard you try. It was awful.
Hobbit was such a horrible movie.
It really was. Well, man, it was not good. It like I'm not the guy that says practical versus visuals. I understand there's visual effects that are needed, but there's times where you can just tell that they use CG because it was easier. And that's what I felt like, and that's what the modern MCU feels like. There's no blend. Like, take Iron Man 1, look at how that looks, fucking spectacular. And then you look at
because of the practical effects,
dude. Oh my god! And you get to see it's the small things that make the movies that much bigger. Like seeing the gears turn. The gears turning makes no sense when you're like if you actually understand mechanics, but it makes it look just that much more real. And then you got And then you got Infinity War. Like, Thanos looks great and all, but everything else, it just looks like gloss. It doesn't look good.
Believable. I'll say it's believable, but I won't say that it's the best looking in terms of practical, realistic. It's believable though. I'm like I feel like I'm dropped into the MCU when I'm watching that movie. Like I'm sucked into a different universe. I know I'm not really in reality, and you bring up a good point. That's what I think the MCU first phase actually did very well. And I'll say
Agreed.
Iron Man and Cap because I'm not gonna talk too much about Hulk and Thor. Didn't really like those movies that much, but I will say like the first Iron Man and the first Cap, they felt so grounded in reality, man. I mean, Cap was literally a dude who picked up a shield, a special shield, and went and fought in the war. Like, that was such a real grounded movie. And then, it becomes more comic book as it goes, but I can appreciate that, it is the MCU. But man, I gotta say, I do appreciate that early on setting the stage for the MCU was just so practical and so realistic.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Again, in my last podcast, I want to reiterate this because it is how I'm actually starting to look at things now. The small things make everything seem bigger and better. When you lose sight on the small things, the bigger picture tends to get lost. At least that's how I'm seeing things now, and it seems to work out so far. And just seeing how like grounded they were, like the visuals aren't all over the place. Like they're not in a CG room when they could have literally just run it out of a studio. Like everything felt real because the majority of it was real. And now we're in these grand scopes. Like I mentioned in my last podcast, what was it, Endgame? Like when Thanos blew up the Avengers HQ, right? Avengers, the HQ was probably like not even a quarter mile long. And then after it gets blown up and then they're in that epic, badass final fight, the ashes and the destruction goes for miles and miles and miles. I'm sitting there thinking, and I only realized that because the second time I watched it, which was like last week with my mom, I was sitting there thinking, they're supposed to be fighting on the HQ's destruction. And they're fighting.
Why is it so large?
It's like 17 football stadiums packed into one. I don't know.
All right, I gotta ask you, what were your feelings about Endgame coming out of it, and then what were your feelings about Endgame having rewatched it a little bit later? Because I definitely changed course after rewatching it.
Okay, my rewatchability with it was a little bit better, but my initial thoughts coming out of it was that was underwhelming. Mainly because I utterly despise time travel movies to an extent.
Dude, thank you!
Yes!
Okay, I am down for like Back to the Future!
Yes!
And even that Looper movie was pretty good, the one with Joseph Gordon-Levitt.
Yes!
I enjoyed that.
And Bruce Willis, yeah.
Like, really? That is it felt like a fail-safe to me. It felt like,
God.
There's really no other way, so let's send them in the quote-unquote quantum realm, which is essentially just another time travel machine. I was like, really? This is how we're going to go about it? Honestly, I wouldn't have minded if they came up with a solution in the present. And they're like, oh shit, we have one stone, like how can we beat him with this one?
Big brain.
And then went around and tried to get more heroes, tried to pull more people in. Like, I just kind of feel like Thor marching up, chopping his head off, was kind of cool because I did like the fact that the consequence of Thanos' actions was the villain, but I didn't like that it was A, so easy in the beginning, and B, we retort to time travel to fix it. Like, it just feels so cheap.
I definitely agree. Like, my time travel movies in general, I'm not the biggest fan of, like you said, except for like Back to the Future and Looper and a couple of other movies. But when it becomes like a plot fix, it just becomes so lazy. Because now when you think about it like this, the future of the MCU, if something bad happens, just go into the quantum realm. You don't need the stones for it. Hell, you just need Ant-Man. Hell, you just need a PEM particles. And if you get rid of all the PEM particles, then you gotta get rid of Ant-Man forever. And I can tell you this, no one's gonna want that. Because he literally is the reason why there's still an MCU. Technically, except for the Rat. Without the Rat, there's no Ant-Man. Without Ant-Man, there's no MCU. So, I don't like that. I felt cheap, like you said, and it was just 3 hours of fan service. Don't get me wrong, the last 30 minutes of fan service, beautiful.
Phenomenal.
Fantastic. But the other 2 hours was just a lot of conveniences. Like, Infinity War...
Cap and Cap are duking it out on the... Like, don't get me wrong, that was cool, but it's fan service. Let's be real here. America's ass was fan service, man.
So Chris brought up a good point. So with your whole thing about like them getting one stone, how are they going to fight Thanos? He did bring up a good point. How are they going to get the stones if Thanos destroyed them? So that is a good point.
That's a good point. I just would have liked to see a solution that was brighter than, oh yeah, let's go back into the quantum realm. And like, I'm just
time
like,
travel.
I don't know. That just...
Yes,
it's time travel.
That's one gimmick as a writer I will never do. Like, we all... For those who are writers out there, or at least quote-unquote writers I don't want to call myself a writer yet. Not yet, at least. But I will never, ever resort to, like, time travel. Like, I have a 4-part story in my head. I've written down the first film, if you will, down on Celtics. And I'm telling myself, never, ever, ever will I use time travel. Never, ever. I don't care if, like, a major character died.
Fair.
Yeah.
I think it's okay if it's like a time travel movie, though.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, if it's a movie built on time travel, like Back to the Future. Oh, I love that movie, man. It's on, all 3 of them are on Netflix, and I've already watched the first 2 a couple times. But, yeah, if it's built on time travel, great. Like, if it's a good story that's built on going back in time and actually discovering characters discovering themselves and discovering past lives and discovering ancestors and things like that, awesome. If that's what you're going to do from the get-go. You mean to tell me the MCU built up 10 years to be a time travel movie?
Yeah.
When Infinity War was like this revolutionary movie in that scope in the MCU, there's never a movie where the villain just won and that was it, and a bunch of heroes die. Like, that just didn't happen cinematically. So it was just such a drastic ending, and then you give us that, and I really wanted a couple more deaths as well to feel like the stakes were high. I kind of wanted the original 4 to go, just to show that that's what it took to beat Thanos. Like, man, Infinity Gauntlet, Cap stands to his last leg against Thanos, and Thanos is breaking his shield. I was picturing something like that, where Cap was on his last leg, either died or almost died, and then the people come back.
Yeah.
And then it would feel like, okay, they actually gave their fucking lives and got kind of... I mean, yeah, it would be convenient, but it would have just been a better end, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They all gave their lives to save the world.
I agree. And the whole thing with Iron Man is just like, in my opinion, and the way I see it, it didn't have to be Iron Man. It could have been anybody else. It could have been Rocket Raccoon, and it could have been anybody. What was it, like, that he had a suit of armor so he was able to snap his fingers? You could have just gotten Professor Hulk to just snap his other hand, and then he'll be permanently crippled, but no one had to die. So it just didn't feel like he had to die, just because the gauntlet was in his hands. And he's like, this is the one opportunity. What's going to happen? Thanos is going to just take the gauntlet and snap his fingers? Like, in my head, it felt way too clean and felt too obvious. Like, we all knew Iron Man was going to die because it started with him, it's going to end with him. Symbolism. But there's a way to do symbolism and not be a pretentious bitch about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was also kind of picturing, this is a theory I had, and hear me out, it's very wild, and I know they would have taken the risk because it would have been too much cost, it would have been too much to get people back. But I would have loved if Thanos brought a new Black Order with him of the best villains of the MCU.
Oh my god, that
Stack
would be so
up
awesome.
people like Killmonger. I'm not going to say I loved Age of Ultron, but bring Ultron back for the fact that he could be a tank.
Yeah.
Red Skull. Throw in Hela. If you want, put in Yellow Jacket. Like, I was thinking some of the best MCU villains just, boom, laid out, ready to go against the entire Avengers squad. No, instead he brings the Chitauri back. Come on, man. It's so boring.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. There, even though it's got like these awesome, dope-ass moments, I feel like there could have been more to it. But me as a fanboy, seeing Cap pick up the hammer, I was the only one. I mean, I'm not the only one that clapped, but I was the only fat ass that stood up and clapped. I was like, yes! My friend next to me was like covering her face and stuff like that. I was so fucking hyped. And then he said, Avengers, assemble. Then I squealed like a girl. I did. Everyone else was like,
I did the same.
Everyone else was like, I don't get it, and I'm the only one like, this is freaking out. It's just like, she's like, I don't get it. It was just literally 2 words. And yeah, I'm like, you don't understand. I've been waiting since Age of Ultron since they teased us. I don't get it. Why is that a tease? I don't know. It's literally 2 words. He's like, Avengers. Then it cuts to black. I'm like, why? Why would you do that to me? That's so mean.
So mean, man. Like. And then to end it like that, it'd be even meaner. But I gotta say, when Cap caught that hammer, oh my goodness, man! I I was the only one to literally just like belt out loud, yes, because I was in the early preview screening, and like technically, like a lot of the critics don't really actually scream like that all the time. And my screening was so small, a lot of people didn't say shit. Bro, I fucking yelled out, man. I'm like, Cap caught the goddamn hammer. Thank you. You gave us something from Ultron. That makes it somewhat relevant.
But, yeah, man. Again, it just, with Endgame out of the question, I love Far From Home, but the MCU has not really been the same the past couple of years, and now that everything that we've been building up for is done, they gotta work their asses off to win back the audience, if you will. Like, start building up something new. And I don't know, Black Widow, what a dumbass choice. I'm just saying.
Oh man, you don't want Black Widow movie?
She's dead. What do you need?
Yeah, that's fair. This is way too overdue, man.
Yeah, if it was like 2015,
this right after Avengers.
Yeah, after Avengers 1 or Avengers 2, for that matter.
Or even Iron Man 2. Fuck it.
Fuck, take Captain Marvel out and put her there. So it's like building up, like...
Thank you!
Wait, so Kevin Feige said, and I quote, this is what he said. We need a Captain Marvel movie, so when if she makes an appearance, it will make sense. She showed up for 5 minutes at best. Once she's flexing on the Avengers. That's what she's doing. And then she gets her ass laid out by Thanos. I'm so happy she got her ass laid out, because if she single-handedly beat Thanos, I'm like, I'm done. I'm done.
That was pure... when I seen that happen, I was like, is that for all them toxic Captain Marvel fans? They're like, we blocked you guys from Rotten Tomatoes. We made it so that you guys cannot put reviews up until the movie comes out. But let us give you this one taste of positivity for your cause.
She didn't just get laid out. She got fucking swung
She got
hooked.
hammered, bro.
She just got bam. I'm like, I went in the theater. I was like, oh shit. I was like,
okay,
this. Like,
I would have been so mad. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good.
I would
No,
have
go.
been so mad if Carol put the gauntlet on. I would have been fucking pissed, because that's what a lot of people were speculating, and so she was like near the gauntlet, and I was like, man, if she puts on that gauntlet, I'm gonna be mad as fuck. Like, no, you don't deserve this.
She doesn't. Like her entire story was flat. It was her, like, again, small moments. You don't have to tell me that you're a badass. Show me that you're a badass. You don't have to one-up the evil man with a dick. All you gotta do is just do something cool, and then boom. Here's going to be an awesome segue. Are you ready for this? You know who didn't have to like prove that she was a badass? Katara.
Oh my god! The segue! So good!
Oh, dude, it's true though. Think about it. She was like, okay, instead of like bitching that the evil man is trying to corrupt me and trying to put me down because I have a vagina. No, she's like, you know what? She never once. And guess what? Why for 7? Why 7? Kids show, by the way. And you know what she did to show empowerment? Don't mention empowerment and just do what you gotta do.
Just be a badass. Just be a badass. Don't even. It's not about, oh my god, well, female are better than men. No, it's all about just fighting with Aang. Like, that's all it was about. And Katara was always a very powerful character, to the point where she was a more powerful waterbender than Aang. So I love that they made her character the offensive character, because Sokka's there, and they could have easily made him the waterbender that teaches Aang. But it gives a little bit of diversity. And you're right, this is all in a kid's show. And none of them are going all overboard about that shit, about Katara being a powerful female. She's just a great main character, and nobody complains about Katara.
Not once. I'd never heard a bad comment about her.
Me neither.
Just, like, let's look at the side-by-side for a second. I watched the first 3 episodes on Netflix. By the way, good news, everybody. Since Leo told me some amazing news. First good news since this quarantine happened. Avatar: The Last Airbender is officially on Netflix. So let's get a round of applause. Let's take a minute, just clap it. Yeah. So I watched the first 3 episodes. Yeah, good news, dude. 3 episodes. And the show was so much more mature than the entire first movie. What? Like Katara didn't want to help Aang because it was her responsibility. She wanted to help because they had a connection. They formed a bond. You know how they formed a bond? By not saying that we're best friends. She's just like, you felt it in her, the way she was animated, in her face, and her expressions. You felt the connection. So when he was gone, she felt guilty. She felt like, I gotta help him because you fuckers were ready to push him away because he accidentally did something that he didn't even know was a problem.
Oh my god, man! I gotta go back and watch those first couple episodes because you're very right. It was never a sense of I have to, or this was all a choice, and that goes for all of Aang's team. That was all a choice, man. And honestly, I skipped into book 2 because I'm just like so excited to skip around. I've watched the series so many times, and man, I gotta say, book 3, Fire, is some of the best TV I've ever seen in my life, ever. It is phenomenal to see a character like Zuko make such a transition through this series. You know, when we got Vegeta in Dragon Ball Z, Vegeta had about an arc, a Frieza arc, where he was, I mean, barely that, if you could say. I mean, he had the Saiyan arc and then a little bit of the Frieza arc where he was a villain. But he transitioned over a lot quicker than Zuko, who it took him 2 books, his entire life, the entire journey. I mean, it's an amazing character. Like, if you guys haven't seen Avatar, gotta watch it. But that third book is phenomenal, man. Like,
dude, I agree. It's really incredible how someone could be working on a kid show and they're like, we're gonna make good characters. The reason why shows like Avatar: The Last Airbender sticks in our minds is because even though it was a kid show, you could tell as a kid it meant more. It felt more than just like a SpongeBob, even though SpongeBob's so iconic, but at the end of the day, it was just played for laughs. Avatar had funny-ass moments. I laughed a lot in those first 3 episodes. Me, a 21-year-old, laughing at a kid's show. But it didn't treat us like we were idiots. And yeah, it took our emotions and it kind of taught us that there's more to our emotions, and it was very mature for a Y7 show, and I was very impressed. I'm watching it again. It's incredible. It's good stuff.
I'm Googling it real quick because I'm curious, but I think by that 3rd book, I don't know if it's Y7 anymore, because like it kind of picks up a little bit to where it deals with like very adult themes.
I think it's still Y7. Yeah, definitely Google it. I need to know. You but definitely Google that. But so remember when I tweeted to you a while back about how one of the many topics we were going to talk about was like most overrated villains?
Yes.
Okay, so this is I'm going to stick to the Avatar side, but I definitely want to bring this up because it was on my mind. So I rewatched the original Star Wars for the first time in years, and I'm not going to throw shade or anything like that. But my most overrated villain was Vader. I don't get it. I personally don't. Yeah.
What? Gumps, don't do this to me.
I have to, dude. Vader, to me, he's a good character. He looks cool. He looks like an awesome character. He's very memorable. But he just says a couple cool things, shows up, chokes a dude out, then throws the Emperor off the edge because his son was in danger. Now, I bring this up mainly for this reason. Because I think the transition from bad to dude, I'm having a stroke right now. From bad to good, Prince Zuko, in my opinion, had a much grander and fluent transition, and his character was more in depth, in my opinion. Again, I understand why people like the character of Vader, but to me, there was nothing that special about him. Because at the end of the day, he was just the Emperor's bitch boy. He did what he was told.
Oh, man, don't go there. Well, here's how I feel about Vader. I will agree with you that in the original trilogy, the second trilogy that I saw as a child, because I actually saw episode 1 first, then went back to the originals. Vader not only look cool, but his presence is so commanding.
Agreed.
On screen, in the story. And I think what lends to Vader, and that this is especially now, is the countless stories that go with him. For me, it is the other stories, the prequel story of watching Anakin fall and become Darth Vader, and then also the comic books, like seeing Anakin first turn into Darth Vader, seeing Darth Vader try to actually take the Emperor down. I think it's some of the supplemental content that helped me. Like, I get what you're saying, because you're right. I mean, in the original, it's kind of like, well, this guy's not much, but man, imagine when you were younger and you saw that battle between him and Luke Skywalker. That was epic! And then he just throws Luke down like a baton. I mean, he's like, hey, I'm your father. Luke falls. Man, that Empire is just such a great movie because of
definitely.
Vader.
I will say this. The entirety of Vader is very badass. He's very threatening. Like, the last, 5 minutes of Rogue One, I think, in my opinion, is the best Vader we've seen on the big screen.
Oh, my God.
Dude, when I saw that, I freaked the fuck out. I freaked out. Yeah, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan, but I freaked out. And the guy I was watching it with has Star Wars tattoos all over his body. Imagine how he was. He was flipping tits. I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? I was stroking out. I was just like, dude, I'm dying. This is incredible stuff. Like, you see these guys running. He's just slaying them down. He threw the one guy through the ceiling and just dropped his ass down, dude. I'm like, this is badass. And
you know what I love about that scene?
What's that?
Is that we are always told there's light at the end of the tunnel. And fucking Vader is the one to make it the horrible light that you never want to see. Oh my God.
Like, I want to see a Vader movie just so I can see, like, the complexity to him. Because I know at the base value, what we got in the original trilogy, there was more to be explored with that, but we didn't get more. I saw what they were going for, but I didn't feel like they went all the way in, again, because of what their limitations were. So I do understand that. But I wish in like future movies and stuff like that, we got to see a little bit more. And
we need a Vader movie, man.
I'm just
gonna come out and say it.
We do. Because honestly, I would like to see him like constantly battling, is this the right thing to do? I feel like having that element will make the character so much more deep and complex, because it's always there. Because you see in the original trilogy, he doesn't want to do these certain things, especially when it comes to his son. So I want to see that kind of battle in his mind, and I want to see that explored a little bit more. But I also want to see why he's the most dangerous Sith ever. I want to see that.
If I can recommend a piece for you that is still canon, is the Vader Marvel run. Start with the 2015, then go back to the 2018. They're actually chronologically opposite. I want to say the 2015 starts Vader out right before Episode 4, and then 2018 starts him out right after Episode 3. But the stories that come with Vader, man, it really expands on him as a character, and like especially the end issues, it really just like expands on where he is mind-wise at the beginning of 4, puts a lot more context into where this guy is really at. I mean, it actually did take Luke Skywalker to bring him back to the light. He was full gone. He was ready to overthrow the Emperor and take over the mantle and do something else. Albeit he failed, but still, he was ready. And that's one story that I just need to be told on screen. Like, you're right, we don't get enough Vader. We need a Vader movie. Like, fuck it, why didn't they make Vader a Star Wars story? Or, like, why do we need Solo, man?
I agree. I agree.
Like
no one's asking for it. Like, when it comes to the original trilogy, what we got was perfect for Han Solo. He got his own mini arc in there. He had a better arc than Vader did. And, like, when I was watching this, you get to see him go from like a regular scoundrel to a general. And I'm like, this does make sense. It didn't feel forced or anything like that, because he had a huge hand in destroying the first Death Star and all this other shit. But Vader was just there like, yes, master, yes, my lord. And then it's just him trying to compel Luke to go to the dark side. We need more Vader, because at that point, I will really love the character of Vader. I get at the base value what he is, but on the screen alone, I feel like we just don't have enough for me to say that he's this masterful villain that everyone claims he is. We have the toes dipped in, but there's a 10-foot pool down there, and the toe is how much of Vader we got. I want more. I do want more. So
I do too, man. Like I would recommend the legend stuff for you, but just I'm not gonna break your heart with that.
Yeah, my friend already told me
that's all out of canon. So yeah.
Yeah, my original look, when I first started this podcast, I had my friend who was on that podcast is actually the guy who had the tattoos and all that stuff. His name is also Kyle. He's the one that always informed me about the Star Wars lore and stuff like that. And every time he would talk to me, it would sound like it would look like I'm not listening, but I'm sitting there just absorbing. I'm like, man, why is this canceled? Fuck you, Disney. I'm not on the fuck you, Disney train. I'm not. But that's the fuck you, Disney. I will give it to them when they need it. And that's a big middle finger to them. Screw them for taking that out. Like, what the hell? Like Chewbacca, when he dies, he's staring at the moon that's about to crash on the planet because they didn't have enough space on the ship. So you just see Chewbacca screaming at the moon before it crushes him. That's fucking badass!
It is, man. The most insulting headline I've probably seen of the entire coronavirus, besides updates on that, is probably Kathleen Kennedy coming out and saying, we don't have enough Star Wars lore to actually make more material. I was like, are you kidding? I think I screamed that day and how angry I was with the fact that Kathleen Kennedy and Disney threw out all this rich, fantastic lore. I mean, I'm telling you, I'm sure your buddy told you about the Solo twins and their adventures and how one twin becomes evil and
yeah, he did.
There's 3 siblings and all. Like, the stories are just extremely exploratory on the details of the Star Wars universe. They're phenomenal. Nope, let's throw it all out like Luke threw his lightsaber.
Episode 8. Oh god. Oh yeah, that's another hate train that I'm gonna jump on later. But not this episode. Sometime down the line. I already said my share of The Last Jedi. I had a whole.
I'm a little over that one.
Yeah. I had my 3 months of temper tantrum and kicking and screaming. It's over, but it's still a bad movie. It really is. But
okay, be ready for this drop. I loved The Last Jedi, but we won't get into the debate.
We're not. No,
I know you have been through your share. I have been through my share.
Yeah, we're like 2 Civil War vets on opposite sides. We just limp towards each other and we just look at each other like, oh fuck it, and we walk away.
Yep. Do the whole eye squint thing and just turn right around.
Fucking, I got a bullet hole in my chest and you got one on your freaking neck. You're just like. Just turn around fucking wait. The war is such bullshit. It's just a fucking movie. I get it. There's a lot of passion behind it. It's like, I loved episode 7 because I was like, okay, there's a lot we can explore. I think the whole reason why Rey was so powerful because of this and this, and my mind started going crazy. Not as a Star Wars fan, remember that. So if I was going crazy, I think there's a couple other people that were going insane.
Oh, I was going nuts, man.
And then episode 8 was like, yeet. So that's why I was upset, but I do understand why a lot of other people did like it. So yeah, we'll bury that little hatch and just put a nice little flower on top of it, and then we'll move on. So Avatar: The Last Airbender. Segue. Bam!
Right back into Avatar. You know, I gotta say, I give kudos to Netflix for bringing the entire series back. This is a very, quick reminder that this series was actually back on Netflix around the time it started streaming stuff. They had a contract with Nickelodeon, so they had SpongeBob, they had Avatar, they had Hey Arnold. They had this entire catalog full of Nickelodeon stuff, and then
I remember that,
streaming rights were up, and they went to Hulu and all over the place. I know Avatar was nowhere, but it's something about being able to just kick back, hit the X button on your controller and press play and watch Avatar. That's just so invigorating. I have the Blu-ray collection, but I just have to watch it on Netflix, man. Like, seeing it on Netflix, that it creates that convenience.
So, my friend in the comments, Amazing Webhead, is trying to get us onto that CW rant.
Webhead, you don't want us to go there, man.
Because he's the guy.
The word rage.
He's
Oh my god.
He's the guy I was telling you about that. It's like every episode there is got to be a CW rage or Smallville rage. And I was talking to him before the show started. I was like, dude, it's going to happen. If it be from us saying something and one of us just goes like, yeah, about the CW, it's going to happen. But it had to be you. You had to force our hand. We're in La La Land with Avatar. And this fucker's like, oh, rage, I feel your anger. And then he would say, like, CW, yeet! And just, I'm like, no, stop, we had a beautiful thing going. So about the CW that I hate this time.
Oh, my God. Well, okay, speaking of the CW, I got a piece of good news for you and the amazing webhead. Guys, it is being delayed to 2021. They are not coming back this season, so hopefully they can free up TV for some better programming, although I don't watch CW for that very reason. So that means we get a little delay and we don't have to hear about the Arrowverse for a little while. Every time I hear about the Arrowverse, it just reminds me of how horrible those characters are. And I'm like, God, this is just blatant disrespect for the comics. Like, I'll admit that I did have some interest and I did give them a shot. Man, there was this Flash episode where they started singing like it was Glee. I was done after that, bro. I'm like, are you serious? This is straight disrespect. Kara was singing with them, Supergirl singing along. I'm like, bro, I am done with this shit. I didn't watch anything else past that of the Flash. I went through the Crisis crap just because, but what a horrible episode. Did you make it to that one in the Flash?
I did. I could get through most of the Flash. I skipped a lot of the season where, you know, the Crisis happened. I watched a lot of the episodes leading up to Crisis because I was so excited for it. Big mistake. I will say the episode before Crisis for Flash was actually really good. You know why? Because there was an emotional moment that actually deserved emotional moment. It was not one of those things like, I'm not fast enough, Iron, I'm not fast enough. It was actually a moment with his father. It was, well, you know, what's his face again? I haven't seen the show in so fucking long. The detective.
Iris's father?
Yeah. Joe.
Yeah,
Joe. Such a basic ass name.
Flash comics.
Yeah, but like Joe was on the porch and like everything's about to hit the fan and they're like, yeah, 24 hours until like Crisis starts. And you see his dad start losing hope and faith and stuff like that, and he doesn't have anything stupid or fucking cheesy to say. He's just sitting there breaking down. He's like, you're gonna die. And I'm like, this is powerful. Too bad it only took, Jay Garrick to fucking take on the treadmill. He's like, I'll do it. And then that was it. I'm like,
that was
it. 5 years of fucking build up. Like, what's the Flash disappearance mean? Oh, Jay Garrick.
Boom. There you go. It's going to be the OG Flash, not even the actual Flash that disappeared in the comics, Barry Allen, who was gone from the comics, let me remind, for 30 years. Like, send Barry away. That was my thing, is like they did, I want to say, what was it, at the end of season 3 that Barry disappears into the Speed Force? I was like, this is it. This is going great. I won't say that the guy who was playing Wally was really strong enough to pull it himself.
Yeah.
If they had got a stronger Wally West and just set that guy up to lead the series, I would have been A-okay with that. Even if it was like for 2-3 seasons. That's how it happens.
Yeah.
That's how Crisis on Infinite Earths happens.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah, Flash disappears for 30 years? Like Barry Allen disappears for a long fucking time. People forget that.
A long time. Yeah.
30 years.
I mean, in the Justice League cartoon, that was Wally West.
You know, it's crazy. You know when he comes back, one of my favorite DC storylines of all time that I want to see on live action, but I don't think we'll ever see it live action, at least not for a long time. I hope it happens. Blackest Night with Green Lantern. That's when he comes back.
God.
He comes out of the Speed Force and he's like, what the fuck is happening?
What is happening?
He's like, I don't know why, but everyone's animated more in high def. And you just, it would be so funny if you see him like 1960s drawing and then he's now the 90s. He's like, why is everyone so high def all of a sudden? Break the fourth wall. Fuck it. I don't care. I just want Blackest Night, dude. I want it to happen.
And, oh my God. I love Blackest Night and Brightest Day. Those are probably a couple of my favorite storylines in the entire DC continuum.
Agreed.
But I gotta say, with the Flash, I think my favorite run of his was that one shot when he actually comes back, Barry, when he comes back. So it's out. It is in the Brightest Day timeline, but it's just like a little one shot.
Yeah.
And he comes back and he races Superman, and they're like racing, and Superman finally admits, like, I think you're faster than me, Barry. And Barry's like, I don't think I could ever be the same again, and then just like zips away. It's such a beautiful story. Like that Flash storyline, I would have loved to eventually have that in the DCEU, which I know we're talking about that a little bit later as well.
Yeah, it's just I don't know, man. Just CW's trash. They like you said earlier, they do need to restart, and I don't think the CW deserves the rights to have these characters anymore. Like, the one thing that, like, literally, there's a couple things that made me nearly have a fucking permanent brain damage. But one of the one that nearly set me off to punching a hole in my wall, outside of the Crisis shit, because that set me off bad. That set me off big time. But the one was where Supergirl and Superman fight twice. And the first time, Superman's like, wow, Kara, you are better than me. Season 2, Kara never really used her powers. This is like her second year in. So a year and a half of her being Supergirl. And Superman's been Superman for 10 plus years. Kara beats him. And Superman's like, the world doesn't need Superman because it's got Supergirl.
Well, that's some bullshit, because I didn't even watch Supergirl season 2. I made it through season 1, my man. I'm sorry. I didn't even finish up season 1.
It was bad. It's bad. It's really bad. It's really crap.
It's horrid. As soon as I seen, like, the outfit, and I was like, all right, they got Lex Luthor's daughter as the... I'm good, bro. I'm good.
Dude, she set me off, too. You know how what ends up turning her bad? This is what turns her bad. She finds out Kara is Supergirl, and she's like, she lied to me. Why would she lie to me? It's because I'm a Luthor. That's why. And guess what? Literally, when she's devising this super villainy plan because she thinks she's saving the planet from liars and bad people. Are you ready for this? Kara admits that she is Supergirl. She's like, I'm sorry, but I've been trying to tell you for so long, but I've been so scared that you would see me differently. She's like, oh, I understand. Kara leaves. She's like, villainy! It's too late now. I want her trust back. I'm like, wait a minute.
Are you serious right now?
I'm dead fucking serious. I have see this little bump. See this bump right here, boys and girls? That's something that's about to pop in a second. It's so bad, Sam. It's fucking awful. It's horrid writing. Write better conflict. You guys are getting paid to write this garbage, and you fucking come up with that? I can come up with a million other reasons why. Kara failed to save her fucking daughter, her best friend, and she's like, oh, and this is the day I find out that you're Supergirl, and it's the same day that you fucking ruined my life. Boom! It's cheesy, but it's better.
Is a horrible movie, but at least Harry had a great motivation to become Green Goblin too, as opposed to fucking just Kara tells you to like, now I'm evil, ha ha ha. It's horrible.
It's so bad. But the second time, you ready for with back to Superman? You know what happened in the second fight? He was evil Superman, red kryptonite.
No.
She beats his ass, and then he ends up like coming back to normal. Beats his ass, and you know he says, "I'm gonna go away now. I'm gonna go to the fucking planet where Kara originally in the comics is, where like the Kryptonians are at. I'm gonna go there so I can raise my family." Thank you. And she's like, but you should stay here. He's like, I got a family now. And the world has got Supergirl to protect it.
Stop, bro. Stop. You're fucking joking.
That officially made me turn off the show. I wanted to go back to the newer season because one of my favorite actors, I love him because he's a nerd at heart, and I genuinely like the guy, Sam Witwer. He's in the show Being Human. He's been in a couple other projects, but he was like the main villain for the first couple episodes. For Supergirl in season 5, whatever season they were in. I watched a couple episodes. I'm like, nope. Sam Witwer came and saved this thing. I love Sam Witwer to death. He's a huge Star Wars fan, and one of the guys I've been watching since like 2013 on YouTube. He's a huge Star Wars fan too. He was the guy I knew that was like the smartest on Star Wars. Sam Witwer beat him in Star Wars trivia. I was like, that was a huge thing. And I found out he was a huge D&D fan. And then I watched a lot of Being Humans, where he's a vampire living with a ghost and a fucking werewolf. It sounds like a dumbass show, but it's actually really good. Sam Witwer carried that show on his back. It was fucking great. I'm like, this guy's fucking awesome. I'll watch anything he's in. Except for Supergirl.
Sam Witwer is phenomenal as an actor. I'm going to just say that. He's got great screen presence. He's amazing.
Except for Smallville.
What's that?
He was in Smallville, and he was horrible in that.
Oh, yeah, you hate Smallville, man. Like we discussed before coming on, have my 10 to 15. That's all I need.
The 10 to 15, that's all I need. Just blow my load of anger on the show.
How many episodes and seasons is that show?
22 to 23.
Seasons?
No, there's 22 to 23 episodes per season. There's 10 seasons.
Oh, okay, bro. I was like, you gotta be joking. They weren't cranking them out like that. But nah, I think it's a good concept. It just wasn't for me, man. Like, that, the whole, I don't know. I guess exploring his origins in that way was just not for me.
I'm getting hot. It's getting warm in here. I feel the anger. It's coming out. But so Webhead just told me that apparently he's talking about the whole Supergirl and Lana Lex, whatever the fuck her face is. She regretted everything she said to her and is sorry. My God.
What's that?
So remember what's the sister of Lex Luthor? What's her fucking face? Lana Lex.
Oh, it's Supergirl.
Yeah, Lana Luthor or some shit like that.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, it's something like that.
Lena, I think Lena.
The bitch.
Lena, yeah.
The bitch said, "I'm sorry," because she regretted everything. So that's apparently like with the more recent episodes. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking puke. I'm actually gonna puke. This is so awful. This is awful writing, awful conflict. CW needs to stop. Give me, Leo, and Chris. Give us the contract to write the next season of any one of these fucking shows, and we'll make it better.
Dude, you could give us fucking Batwoman, and we will come up with better shit.
I think Batwoman is worse than Supergirl. Batwoman is no. Supergirl's worse than Batwoman. I think Batwoman's half decent. Supergirl is unredeemable. Supergirl, unredeemable.
What do you think about Legends? I thought it started out decent, and then it just got so repetitive.
The newer seasons are funny, so you gotta watch it for the comedy, and it's fine for what it is. Like, what was it? Like season 3 is when it started getting really good, and after that, they just went balls to the wall insane. There was an episode where the Legends, like, something happens. Like, they focus on more magical creatures because they have Constantine in the show, and they all turned to puppets. And they start they start singing. It's a very goofball show, and it's not out of nowhere like Flash singing with Supergirl. It's not out of nowhere. It's just okay. What random bullshit's gonna happen next? And that's what happened next. Like there's some magical character. Like they fought the fucking the Cinderella princess magical fairy thing. Like the fairy godmother. That thing. They fought the fairy godmother from Cinderella. They fought that thing, and she was an evil bitch. I'm like, this show's fucking whack. I think it's entertaining for what it is. It's definitely the best out of all the Arrowverse.
I agree. What I had seen about from Legends, I thought, like I said, the ending started pretty strong. It did start getting a little random and repetitive, in my opinion, but
yeah,
I'll take your word for it. I mean, I might give it a watch. I decided to put myself through hell and get all the way caught up on Arrow. To the penultimate season, and I was like, I can't fucking do this shit with the exploding island shit, because I was like, that's pretty dope. Guess what, guys? Nope. Psych. I was done, man. I don't think I'm gonna go back to any of those shows.
It's hard. It's definitely hard. Like, what was it with everything with Oliver in the finale, like Crisis? They killed this motherfucker off screen. Off screen, this guy dies. Off screen, he dies, and I'm like, he's dead? I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, there's no way he's dead. No way he's dead. And this is the first time I ever watched CW live. I never watched CW live. I always got the CW app, and that's where I watch it. This is the first time I'm watching it live, and my mom watched every single episode with me. She was confused as shit, but she just got to see me have a meltdown. She got to see me have a meltdown every episode. First episode, I'm like, first episode, I was like, interesting. And the second episode, he's dead, and it was weird. And then this is one of those moments I really, legit had a brain aneurysm in front of my mother, and almost started having a legit mental breakdown in front of her, where Batwoman is like, I hate you, Batman, for killing people. Batwoman kills Batman. I sat there, I'm like, what?
Like, what the fuck is happening?
I sat there and I'm like, the second Lucifer was on screen, because I'm a huge fan of Lucifer, the show. It's a great show, in my opinion, and
I gotta go back to that one. That's one I missed.
It's not even a CW show, so you're fine. It's literally a buddy cop movie. So if you like buddy cop movies, shows, and stuff like that, you'll love this. It's literally just Lucifer following around people, and just like, he's got this charm to him that you just love. He's got this like magnetic charisma to him, and he's just, like, plus he's British. I mean, come on, he's got that British charisma, and he's just like, so tell me your deepest desire, and then they just unfold everything, and it's literally, it sounds such bullshit because it's the devil in LA who's talking to a therapist. It's the most millennial thing you can come up with, but yet it works. It works because he's like, he goes to the therapist explaining his issues. The therapist gives him a legit good advice, and then Lucifer takes that advice, throws it in the shredder, and just says, okay, that one piece of paper that you just gave me, that literally a 16th of what you just said, I'm going to take that and use that to my benefit. I'm like, oh, so she's not sleeping with me because I'm not trying hard enough. Okay, thank you, and then leaves. It's a charming show. I think you would like that, at least.
Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out, man, because, it's been so discouraging to see, like, the DC live action the DC live action shows on the CW do so horribly. I just feel like they give the writers, like, I love for writers and creatives to have freedom. Don't get me wrong, but at least somewhat go along with the source material. Like, you made Ollie your Batman, you made Barry your Wally. I mean, he acts a little bit more like Wally than he does Barry Allen. We only see him doing the science stuff in the beginning. So, it's just, in my opinion, the Arrowverse as a whole is just disrespect to the original source material. Like, I can say at least the DCEU, Superman's flying around. It's not fucking, like, he doesn't settle down and have a fucking family and kids. Like, are you serious?
Oh, that's what they did with Smallville, too. That's what they did with Smallville, too. That was a spit in my face. Because when I was watching this, I knew at the end of Smallville, like, watching Smallville, I'm like, okay, in my head, I'm going to ignore what happens in Crisis. Because in Crisis, Smallville is in the show of Crisis, and he settles down, gets rid of his powers, and has a family. Everyone's like, that's what he would do, though. And I'm thinking to myself, watching the entire show, I'm like, but this entire show is him accepting that he's Superman.
Right! Bearing the burden!
And I'm sitting there thinking, but that's what he would do? You took every life lesson you've ever learned in those 10 seasons and threw it in the garbage. You threw it right into the trash. You're like, Yeetus Deletus, and just threw that fucking thing. And I'm just like, what the... Like, the small moments make the show special in my heart. There's a lot of good small moments, but those small moments are so far and few between that I could never rewatch the show from beginning to end ever again.
Did you ever get the chance to watch Krypton?
I want to, though.
Never really talked about, like, never heard about it, never checked it out. I haven't really heard anybody talk about it either.
Because I think it was, like, canceled after, like, the first or second season.
Yeah.
And it was, like, it's about Jor-El, not Kal-El, so it's about his dad. And,
was it about his dad or grandfather? I thought it was, like,
it was his grandfather.
Descendant or something. Like,
it was someone who's related to him. It's someone who's related to him. And it's, like, the rise of Brainiac. And it's going to be, like, the rise and fall of Krypton. And I'm like, it sounds interesting, but I'm not sure if I would be personally intrigued enough knowing.
Yeah.
Because again, it's a Superman show without Superman, aka Smallville, but beside the point, because at least Clark was there, kind of, sort of. even though he was kind of an asshole half the time. But anyway, whatever. Beside the point.
He's a big douche.
Dude, like,
at least from what I had seen.
Dude, Lex, I felt bad for Lex. This dude is trying his absolute hardest not to be a villain. Like, he's got, like, a dark side to him, especially with, like, the stuff that happened to Lex. No shit, he's fucked up in the head. The few times I've cried in that show was over Lex. Like,
Lex.
Yeah, because Lex had a mental breakdown, and I'm like, dude, this is so sad. He's trying so hard, and his dad's being a fucking bitch. He's being an asshole. Fuck him. And then Clark is like, you lied to me. I'm like, but aren't you lying about your identity? So you can't really get mad at him about lying.
So you're lying. You're a liar too.
It's funny because don't you get bitched out from Lana like every episode that you're a liar? So I would think if you of all people wouldn't bitch someone out for being a liar, and that caused Lex to go over the edge. I don't care what people fucking say. Lex Luthor was pushed over the edge because of Clark. In that show, at least. That show, because he constantly pushed him away. He gave him trust, he gave him hope, while everyone else was against him. Clark, in the beginning at least, was there for him. I don't know what's at some point when he started boning Lana, not really, because they didn't really have sex until like season 7, but like, Lana started coming into the picture, and that's when he started bitching out Lex. I'm like, you're a fucking asshole. I hate you.
Man, I gotta say, I barely know anything about this show, but you make it sound absolutely horrible. Like,
again,
I will not watch it.
There's some few good moments, but season 6, they're like, the Justice League, and there's an iconic shot with all the JLA members walking in slow-mo with the explosion behind them. That is the last time you'll ever see all of those characters on the screen together again. At once. There's a couple episodes with Aquaman. Like, after that episode, Aquaman's in 1 or 2 more episodes after that because he ended up getting a bitch, and he's like, yo, what's up? What's up, Mara, Queen Mara, whatever her face is. Anyway, yeah, like, you got her. He was in one episode. After that episode, Impulse, a.k.a. Flash, like, whatever that Flash's name is, he's out of the picture entirely. What? Yeah, they have him, like, they have a couple shots of him in the back of the head, so you don't actually see the actor. You just see the clothes, and that's it. Cyborg, last time you see Cyborg, except when he's on the TV screen talking about some things. And half the time, they're like, yeah, we're not really a good team yet, but we're getting there. I'm like, how? You guys don't even fucking talk. You guys are so focused on Superman.
Why are they even using Impulse?
I don't know.
Like, why would they... was it Bart Allen?
I think so, yeah.
Why would they skip over Barry and Wally for Bart? See, I'm out. I'm out.
I like this Oliver Queen better than Stephen Amell because he is a lot like the animated Green Arrow that I grew up watching. The Green Arrow I grew up watching was the animated stuff. Quippy, funny, but he's a badass. We didn't get a lot of badassery in Smallville when it came to Green Arrow, but he had a quip. He's being tortured, right? He's getting beat up hardcore. Like, he's got probably a broken rib. He's got blood coming out of his mouth. You know what he says? What are you going to do next? Kiss me? And he gets his ass beat some more. I'm like, that's such a Green Arrow thing. It's
super Ollie.
Yeah, it's super Ollie, but like, and again, I like Stephen Amell. I do. But he's not Green Arrow.
He's not Green Arrow. He's
Batman. Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is. And then, he went... I liked the first 2 seasons, even though it was Batman-esque. At least it was grounded in its own thing. And then season 3 happened. They're like, melodrama! And I'm like, whatever.
I'm done with the Arrowverse. But I gotta ask then. Was that Aquaman in that series the one that was gonna be in that canceled pilot?
No. Fun fact. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you guess who was Aquaman in that show? It was the guy who played Green Arrow in Smallville.
No shit, really?
Dead ass.
Wasn't that supposed to be connected to Smallville?
It was. It was supposed to, before they brought Aquaman on. I think it was like season 3 that show aired. And they were like, this is terrible. Let's not air it. I'm assuming they had a contract. They had a contract with this guy for a handful of seasons. And they're like, I guess we could still use him. Do you want to play Green Arrow? And he's like, sure, yay. And then they recast Aquaman to be a supporting cast. Here's another fun fact. The guy who was going to play Aquaman but ended up being Green Arrow, fun fact, he's deadly afraid of water. Like swimming and shit like that.
Are you shitting me?
And he was playing Aquaman. He's like, I couldn't take down the role because it's, as an actor, you got to take what you can get. And playing Aquaman in a TV show, that's not something you pass down because of your fear. So he took the role, made it one episode. I can guarantee you, everyone's like, oh shit, and he's sitting there like, oh thank God. It's just like just pouring sweat. He's like, can I be anybody else? And they're probably like, yo, you want to be Aquaman and like Smallville? He's like, anything else, please.
What if they just made him draw from a fucking hat? It was like, we'll just put Aquaman in there, Impulse, fucking some rando like Cyborg, and a couple other characters. All right, pick, man, pick.
Imagine he picks Zatanna because Zatanna's in the show. Imagine he took Zatanna. He's like, I don't think this is gonna work. he's got the leggings and everything like that. He's like, what's up? Oh man, one of the few episodes I liked, it involves Zatanna. Like Clark and Lois announced that they're getting married and they're gonna have a bachelor party. Zatanna knew Clark couldn't get drunk because he's Superman, for fuck's sake. So she does some magical spiking shit to the champagne, and the whole episode's like The Hangover, and it's them trying to figure out what the fuck happened last night. And you see that there's like a truck that was going to a bank is destroyed. It's in a wall. They fucked up with the mafia. They're like, what the fuck happened? And you get to see the Oliver Queen again. Such an Oliver Queen moment. To go deep undercover to make sure he doesn't get shot with Lois. They're into like this weird party event thing backstage, and everyone's dressing up as these like, you know, women, like there's like 1950s 1940s show girls that dancing and all this shit. Oliver Queen dressed like that. He went out in girls' clothes and everything like that, full commitment, and started dancing on stage with Lois Lane.
I mean, that's very Oliver Queen, man. I honestly, when I first watched Arrow, that's what I expected. I was like, oh shit. This dude's like going around beating ass, killing folks. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, that first season I was interested because I was like, all right, let's see where they're gonna take this shit. And I gotta say, out of their shows, Arrow is one of the, I would say especially the first couple seasons, one of the better ones. Is it phenomenal? No. Did I love it? No. But I mean, those first couple seasons weren't so bad, and then it just starts falling off when it becomes all about him and Felicity and shit. I'm like, yeah. What are we watching? Like you said, a fucking melodrama.
Exact. But I think we had our fill with CW and Smallville.
Yeah.
So let's get to back to praising the Lord and Savior Avatar: The Last Airbender. Dude, honestly, I'm so happy that show's back. What you said, season 3 is your favorite, right?
Yeah, easily.
Yeah.
Book 2 is very strong. I mean, like, they're all great. I gotta give it to them. That whole show is phenomenal. I guess I could ask you, what did you think of Legend of Korra? I know that's kind of off topic.
No, it's on topic. I only got to watch the first couple episodes. It was Legend.
Man.
I need to watch. I really do, because the first couple episodes intrigued the shit out of me. But it happened at a time where like I kind of stopped watching cable, and I started watching more movies and started playing a little bit more games. So I never got a chance to watch it, and I never found like a full series of Legend of Korra. How many seasons are there? I'm assuming there's 3, right?
Yeah, there's 3 different seasons. Or is there 4? No, there's 3. And I gotta say, it was a good follow-up. Like, don't get me wrong, Avatar: The Last Airbender, that's the OG, that's the original, but Legend of Korra is actually very strong. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, it's 4 seasons, excuse me.
Okay.
It's 4 seasons, 52 episodes.
So she masters all the abilities but airbending, right?
In the beginning, yeah.
So it's not her mastering these elements, right? What's the big threat?
I guess the big threat is, and I guess I can drop this, she loses her connection to the avatars.
Okay, there, see? I mean, that's such a fascinating thing. I was like, because what's going to happen? Like, I remember there was something about like a villain that was using blood bending and stuff like that. I'm like, that could be a very interesting villain.
Yeah, that's the beginning of the series. He was like taking bending powers away. Pretty dope series. Like it kind of starts off as like this. There's like this anti-bending propaganda.
Interesting.
Like the society is like half of them are for bending, but you've got this kind of rising population that doesn't like how powerful and influential the Benders are, and I really like that it was kind of this civil war between Benders and non-Benders, like, bubbling up. It's a very good series. Again, it's not as strong as Avatar, but it's still a phenomenal series.
The thing is with Avatar, like, Avatar's like almost like, I don't use this word like cotton candy. I don't. I think Avatar: The Last Airbender is the closest to perfect a TV show for kids can get. Just being honest, it's got the greatest character. First 3 episodes, I'm already hooked. Like, I feel like I'm watching the show for the first time again, just because I'm watching it with a new set of eyes, a more mature set of eyes, and it's so good. And like, again, you've seen Prince Zuko go from evil to good. It's natural, and you get to see all these characters. I can't wait to see season 2 with the old guy that was like trapped forever, like in that freaking crate. What the hell was he? That old dude that ended up going sliding down. He was like a friend of like Aang's when he was a kid.
Prince Boomy!
Boomy, that's right. Boomy, that's his name.
Remember, he's like, I remember you were a kid. No, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, and I'm like, dude, that's dope. And then I like to see the cabbages guy, because the cabbages guy was like my meme growing up. I was like, my cabbages!
My cabbages!
I freaking love that.
Say, on the topic of Zuko, I think in TV show history, and this might be a big thing to say, he is probably one of the most well-written characters I've ever seen. I mean, to see a transition, you go from the beginning of series to hating and absolutely loathing the Avatar, wanting to get him back to impress your father, to be back in the royal palace, to actually helping the Avatar at the end of the day defeat his father. I mean, it's just such a beautiful transition of character. Like, they could honestly have a spin-off couple episodes of just Zuko, and I'd be totally in.
I would too. And I definitely agree with you, because like, the thing is, the story of Prince Zuko is nothing we have never heard of before. We've heard it 1,000 times, like, he's been dishonored, he's trying to get his honor back. That's the character of Zuko. But there's so much more to the character. They take such a simple idea. They don't overcomplicate it. They take that simple idea and they use those emotions to drive the character. They don't use the conflict around him to push the character. They use the emotion of the character to push him forward. That's what makes him so unique in my eyes. Because every time, like, when it came, like Iron Man and all these other characters based off of movies, conflict is what changes characters. Like, like Iron Man becoming like making Ultron was all because of Avengers. And then
because of the threat he needed to stop. Exactly.
Yeah, it's Civil War. Him, because of Age of Ultron, because of Avengers, that led up to Civil War. And then all these other things to eventually him snapping his fingers is all because the world around him was influencing him. Yes, he also made his own decisions, but again, it was a conflict-driven character. Whereas Zuko, they take such a simple idea with minor conflicts around him that like influence him, but it was mainly driven by his emotions. And his uncle is a huge part to thank for that. His uncle is so fucking cool. And one of my favorite episodes in that show is like the farewell episode to the original voice actor. I cried. I'm like, it's like,
I know, what a powerful episode.
I was like, what the fuck, man? I ain't supposed to cry. I was like, it was so good.
And a kid show. Guys, this is a kid show. Like, this was made for kids. Like, I'll tell you, you'll get back to the episode, you'll be tearing up.
I was like,
it's so good.
Dude, I remember watching it on YouTube because Nico from New World Nerds was talking about it. I'm like, I gotta watch this part again. I typed it in. I was sitting there just watching part of the episode. I'm like, I'm not crying. I look away, wipe a tear. I swear, there's someone cutting onions. God damn it! It's powerful.
Man, I know Nico is a huge Avatar fan.
Dude, oh my god! Like, I'm so excited for this live action series, but they gotta do it right.
God.
They gotta do it.
They better not mess it up like they did.
And first off, we can talk about the million things they've done wrong in Avatar. Like, again, the bending.
But what did they do right? Is my question. It's like there's
bending.
Nothing right.
There's bending, if you want to call it that.
But think about it. For firebenders, oh, you have to make a fire. What?
Yeah.
Like, the very reason that the fire exists in Avatar is from the emotion, from the drive, and then from the rays of the sun. What the fuck is this? You have to make a campfire type shit.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about. Like, I like how in the bending in the show, the bending is simple and to the point. Like that fire. Like you smack your hands and then you make a punch. Fire. In this show, they got to do some stomping, move their hands, then snap their fucking fingers, and then you push your hand out, and a little drop of water comes out. I'm like, hey, don't get me fucking started on those earthbenders. Those earthbenders, are you shitting me? Like, for real, like, you have 5 of these fucking earthbenders, right? They stomp, clap their hands, punch, and then this fucking boulder goes in at these firebenders at, like, literally a mile a minute. Just, like, not...
That's exactly where I was going with that shit.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, what? And then you got this one guy, he's like, ha! Then he punches the rock in thin air, and then the rock is like...
What?
I'm like, okay, that's 5, that's what... Counting the one guy, that's 6 earthbenders. The one earthbender in one of the episodes of the animated show, like, one of them was fucking up tanks and shit like that. And let's talk about they were in prison.
The ground.
Dude, they were in prison on their own land. What do you mean? Like, the earthbenders, you shouldn't be feeling in prison. I'm like, they ain't in prison. They're on their own turf. It's called Earth. Like, I don't know.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. The moment I knew that this was a fucking shit movie is the beginning. Well, first off, when they say "ong" in the monologue, I knew something was wrong there. And then when they had the intro, like the live action kind of the live action version of the intro of the Avatar series, and the fucking Earthbender like kicks the ground. The rock takes so long to get out of the ground. He slowly kicks it away. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And then a firebender comes up and bends fire from a torch or something. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. They need fire with them? You gotta be fucking kidding me. The whole thing about firebending was emotion, passion. Like, you mean to tell me they now have to make a fucking source? So that means that firebending is just like every other element? Because that's why it was so dangerous in the series, is because you don't need a fire. Source. Yeah. You don't need a source. They didn't need, and that's why they took out the fucking airbenders, which was actually extremely smart on their part.
Because they didn't need a source because the air's around them.
Resource. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You're taking out the only other bending source that can naturally use the environment to bend at their will. Fire or waterbenders have to be by water. As we know, earthbenders have to be on some kind of rock. Well, Toph definitely proved us a little bit wrong with that, but most of the earthbenders had to be on rock, near boulders, near the earth. It's phenomenal to me that the firebenders were like technically the most powerful benders of all of them. But then they throw all that in the way in the movie when they say, oh yeah, you need a campfire to make. I'm like, well, then how the fuck did they take all these people out? You mean to tell me they marched it with torches? Into the Water Nation? Like, this makes no sense, man. Like, what the fuck is going on? You mean to tell me these guys marched up into the fucking Earth country, by the way, which is the biggest land out of all of them, Ba Sing Se, they march into there with fucking tiki torches to take out all the Earthbenders? Are you joking? Like, that move alone throws out so much. I mean, let's not forget to mention they made, for some odd reason, they made, like, the Water Nation white people, and I always thought they were Eskimos.
Yeah, they were.
They're like native Eskimos. What did they make the Earth? I guess the Earth Nation was correct with the Asian, and then they strangely made the Fire Nation Indian, and I was like, what's up with that? I don't know. I guess changing nationalities wasn't the big problem. It was who they fucking picked. And I'm not going to put Dev Patel in this hole because it's not his fault. But I am going to pick whoever the fuck they picked for Azula. And whoever they picked for Ozai. And who they picked for Iroh. Because I was like, are you
Iroh was
joking?
A fucking disgrace.
You have a skinny Iroh? You mean to tell me you got a skinny Uncle Iroh? okay, I'm done.
He wasn't even that charming either. What made Iroh so awesome because he was so he was slow with what he had to say because he was patient, but he was kind and delicate. And this guy was like normal. I'm like, they're like
he was like Ozai.
Yeah, I'm just sitting there like. It was just, oh, dude, you need to be on one of my WTF series, dude. You're fucking hilarious when you're raging, dude. You're killing me, bro. Dude, you're fucking killing me. Just like you're like go in the boxing side with tiki torches, bro. I'm dead. I'm fucking dead. Because in my head, I just saw like all the live action characters going like, yeah, tiki torches.
Charge!
Oh, dude, it's like the fucking the Trojan horse thing, but it's a giant tiki torch.
Oh my god!
They're like, we have a present for you, and Boston Said's like, ooh, and then you got oh my god, it's so fucking good. Oh man, what a trash show, dude. Not show, movie. My bad. I gotta wet myself for punishment. There we go. We're good. It's all good.
And I gotta say, going back to Iroh real quick, I like the problem making him like that was the fact that Iroh was pulling Zuko over to the good side.
Mm-hmm.
In every character, there should be wants and needs. Zuko wanted to kill the Avatar. He wanted to be back in his father's graces. But he needed a positive father figure to guide him over to the good side of firebending, to bring back not fear-mongering Fire Nation, but the passionate, helpful Fire Nation that was ready to band with the other nations.
Yeah.
He was such an integral character to Zuko's turn that making him a plain old, same old guy pretty much just cancels out everything they had planned with that live-action Zuko. God, I'm glad that didn't get any more movies. Thank God.
Because, again, I couldn't take another hour and a half, 2 hours of Ung and the Avatar. I'm like, ugh, I'm gonna puke. I'm just, it's so bad.
Imagine being at the midnight premiere, man.
You were at the midnight premiere? Oh, dear. I was
the midnight premiere with a t-shirt on.
Dude, the people at the movie theater were like this, oh, poor bastard.
Oh my god, me and my friends went to, I think I was like 16 years old, man. I wasn't even driving yet. And me and a couple friends went outside of the theater and just ranted for like 2 hours about how fucking horrible of a movie that was. We were just like, what the fuck was that? You gotta be joking. Like, I mean, it was a full-on 2-hour rant. I wish I could have got that on camera because that was epic as fuck.
You know, speaking of passion and being majorly disappointed about something you grew up loving, one of the games I grew up loving, I'm very public about this, is Ratchet and Clank. I watched it. I saw the movie with a friend of mine who also loved the games. Like, he was like the only person I knew who was close of a fan as I was him. And he's like, I don't know, it's gonna be bad. I'm like, I mean, at least the animation looks like correct, and it's not live action. So yeah, I'm like, how bad can it be? When we went out, because I was at this time, I was like 17, so my mom had to go to work, so she had to drive us. She picked us up. She was like, how was the movie? And then my friend's like, Mrs. Gumper, please, just don't. She's like, was it that bad? I'm like, Mom, you don't ask a Vietnam vet how was Vietnam. She's like, duly noted, turn on the car, and we drove away, and that was it. And then when we went to school, like literally the Monday after, that's when we started bitching and complaining. We were like, what the fuck was that? And my teacher started laughing because we were in our like secret area in film class. Like, we have our own room because we were like the kids that were like awesome to the teachers, so they gave us like everything that we ever wanted, and we had our own room for work. And she overheard us muffled complaints about the movie. So she's like, I heard every word you guys said, and I'm not going to lie, you guys are hilarious, and even though you said things that you shouldn't say in school, I'm going to leave that between me and you. I'm like, thank you. We were saying the F-bomb, we threw the C word in there one time, I think. Well, he did at least. And he said some fucked up shit, but honestly, your whole story with Avatar was the same experience I had with Ratchet and Clank. Dude,
that's why I didn't even go fucking watch it, man. I still haven't watched that shit. I love that game series way too much. I can't understand the disrespect. I heard there was horrible shit.
Did we just become best friends?
Yes.
Hell yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What's your favorite game? What's your favorite game out of them?
I always like the original the best.
Okay, fair enough.
Ratchet and Clank 2 was dope as shit.
Agreed. Everyone says 3. I definitely said 2 because it was like the gladiator ring was always something really cool to me. And my favorite though is got to be A Crack in Time, one of the newer ones before the abysmal Into the Nexus. But A Crack in Time was like the whole thing about like his lineage and his family, his ancestors. The future series. So there's
because it's split into the future saga and the original, right? Because I got deadlocked.
Yeah, that's in between like the original. That was like in the middle. Like there's a lot of middle stuff in there. There's the original trilogy, some stuff, and then the future series. There's Tools of Destruction, which is the beginning of the future series, and then A Crack in Time. They were going to make a third one, and it was going to wrap everything up, and then they ended up making the movie, cutting the game short, making it like literally 20 minutes to beat, and it was absolute trash. But I think, I'm not going to say anything more. If you can get your hands on it, I definitely recommend you play. But it delves into his past and his history, and it's some enriching stuff. And A Crack in Time made me cry. I'm going to say it right here, right now. It made me cry. It made me feel...
It's a brilliant game series from what I've seen so far.
Yeah, it's...
Up Your Arsenal was hilarious. It was fun.
Oh,
That's
dude.
the third one, isn't it?
Up Your Arsenal is the third one.
Yeah, man, that was good as hell.
Yeah, if you can't get your hands on A Crack in Time, I might as well just tell you. But again, he does see another Lumbax though. I'll say that he sees another Lumbax, and it was actually a friend of his father, and he's like, I gotta bring them back. I'm not gonna tell you how they disappeared or how they died because they do explain that. And so like this friend of Ratchet, he's like, oh my god, another Lumbax, turns into the secondary villain, if you will, or the main villain. It's weird. There's technically two villains if you count the Lumbax. But it was heartbreaking because this guy's like, I got to bring them back. And Ratchet knows if he brings them back, it's going to possibly destroy the universe. And he's like, it's so heartbreaking.
Was Dr. Nefarious in that one?
Yeah, he was in
back
that one.
In that one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Ooh. Yeah, I like Dr. Nefarious.
Dr. Nefarious was in the movie.
Oh, man. Was he bad?
He basically turned Chairman Drek into a bitch. Like Chairman Drek, they ruined him. He was awful. And so we get an origin story of Dr. Nefarious. That's the entire movie. It's like an origin story before he became like this mechanical asshole. He was an alien. You see, I'm like, this is not. I'm like, my friend's like, is that Dr. Nefarious? I'm like, nah. Why would they do that? And at the end, they're like, Dr. Nefarious. I'm like, huh? Oh, dude. It was bad.
It's beautiful.
It's so bad, man.
I gotta ask you real quick. This is totally coming out of left field. Did you see Dark Apocalypse War?
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. That was relating to the future of the DCEU and AU. So for those who don't know, what was it? Justice League Dark Apocalypse War?
Yeah.
Okay, so that is the ending, the finale, the end game, Infinity War of the animated universe from Flashpoint to now. So all those movies, animated movies, were connected, and this was the grand finale. And
sweet as fuck,
dude, it was fucking violent. There was a part of me that was like,
hell,
dude. There was a part of me that was like, I don't know how I feel about this.
He's like, they were like wringing out these superheroes like rags, ripping limbs apart,
dude,
and I'm like,
yeah.
what the fuck?
What was it like? What the hell they call him?
Shazam. They like ripped his leg off, and then they kill like everybody with him, and he's like left the only survivor out of that squadron. I'm like, what the fuck? Dude,
they really wrecked house. What did they call him? Paradooms?
Yeah, the Paradooms.
Yeah, so I didn't know, at first I didn't know how I feel about that, because at first I didn't know this was like the end all be all, the finale to this animated series. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. So at first I wasn't sure what I was watching, and I saw all these stats. I'm like, is this like the end all be all, or are they gonna just like time travel back? They end up time traveling back. but apparently it was just the goodbye to the New 52. And I'm like, okay. On that level, as like a finale, that was fucking awesome. That was... One thing that got me fucking stoked was the Trigon versus Darkseid. Old God versus New God. Never thought I needed to see that, but I did, and I'm not gonna lie. Him saying, thanks, daughter, I will protect you, and he's fighting Darkseid to this black hole. Content. Beautiful. I loved it.
Fucking phenomenal. I've been seeing some complaints about that movie, and I'm like, how do you complain? This is, you know what's crazy is it's actually, that was like Zack Snyder, kind of like Zack Snyder's plan for the DCEU.
Yeah, it was the plan for the trilogy.
Plan to have Darkseid take over, and
that was his vision.
He like had a Superman locked up and shit, but like, I love how it played out in this animated universe where Batman was working with him and to Damian to get to the end. I very much enjoyed this movie. Like I loved where everything went. I liked that the stakes were high. I liked that it felt like the villains are impossible to beat. I love how Darkseid had everybody on the run with the Paradooms. Like they were almost fucking impossible to beat. And I just, the only thing, and this is just me as a critic, I have to have a couple criticisms.
Yeah.
Only thing was, I just felt like Flashpoint again feels like a scapegoat to me.
It is. That's what I felt like too.
I was like I let it go because the rest of the movie was really good, but
this is how I think they should have ended it, honestly. Instead of another Flashpoint, because again, I don't want them to, every time they go to like a new series, because this was the New 52 for comics, but into the movies, instead of, I just don't want it to be a trend. Like every time they're done something, they do Flashpoint again. Like we fucked up, it's Flashpoint. I don't want that. I don't want that because it's kind of unfair. Because then you got like Flash with 700,000 different alternate worlds, and it just kind of loses its magic. I think they should have lost this time, and that would have been the end. I think they should have either lost or the world, as fucked up as it was the ending. Because like the world is like going to gradually end. They're like, yeah, we got 3 years. Let's make the best of it. And then it's just like the world finally comes to peace and terms, and they enjoy their final years before the Earth is like destroyed. Because their axes and everything was fucked to shit, destroyed. So I think this should have been the end. Doing another Flashpoint again feels kind of cheap. I think they should just restart with a whole new slate.
Yeah, man. Honestly, I would have been okay with them being like, well, fuck, we're going to pick up the pieces and kind of go from there. And then, I don't know, explain some other way. Like, literally that's pretty much DC's failsafe since they created the Flashpoint comic book. They've been like, well, just make a fucking Flashpoint. It'll erase everything. Let's just do that. And, that created the New 52. Wait, one more time. That created Rebirth. I don't... Well, and Dr. Manhattan had a lot to do with that, too. But
I want to see that.
Pick up
I need to see
else.
that. I think because it was in the comics recently, and I didn't get to see or hear someone, like, Comics Explained. I didn't get to hear his explanation on that comic, at least all of it yet. But the Justice League versus the Watchmen, I think their big end-all, be-all needs to be Dr. Manhattan for this one. How Darkseid...
It's gotta be.
Because, like, listen, who's more powerful than Darkseid? Dr. Manhattan.
Dr. Manhattan.
He is unstoppable. He's like some fucking quantum realm bullshit kind of powerful. He makes Superman look like a fucking tampon. Like, he's powerful. All-powerful. Next to God.
Dr. Manhattan is omnipotent.
I have a hard time saying it too.
Yeah, he's omnipotent. He's, omnipresent? I mean, he's everywhere.
Yeah.
Can be everywhere at once. Can be at any time frame, any second.
Wait, I got an idea.
In multiple existences. What's your idea?
His brain is expanding. So if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but if I remember correctly, Dr. Manhattan was like, okay, we needed to destroy everything because of Flashpoint. He sees everything's being corrupted, everything's being destroyed, and he's like, you know what? Fuck life. Life is is the universe's problem?
It's destroyed.
It's we got to destroy life because of shit like this. And he looks at Flashpoint. He's like, not one, but 2 Flashpoints. Fuck everything. I'm done. I'm killing all of you.
I think Dr. Manhattan was us because I know I'm not the only one. There are a couple New 52 lines, but I know we could say that was a weak point for DC. And I think Dr. Manhattan was just kind of like, all right, you know what? Fuck it. The fans are mad. Let's just give it back.
Yeah. So I think that's what they need to do. Is just like make the end all be all Dr. Manhattan, because you can't beat that. You really can't. The only character that I know of that can beat Dr. Manhattan is the Presence. If you guys don't know who the Presence is, he's literally God with a capital G. He's not a old God. He's not a new God. He is God. So he'll bitch slap Trigon if he wanted to. He can rub his ball sack over freaking Darkseid's face. What's Darkseid gonna do? Blast him? Yeah, he's gonna be like, "Ah, stop it! You're gonna tickle me." The Presence,
like,
there's like almost no like comic iteration of the Presence except for a handful. Like one's like a weird cloud looking thing, and one's just a regular guy with like a top hat and a cane.
It's crazy, man. Like Dr. Manhattan is all powerful. He can literally flick Darkseid like a bug.
I think that's what they need to do. Like build up Dr. Manhattan. I don't.
That would have been a cool into the DCAU.
Yeah,
like you were saying. Cool.
Yeah.
Have him rise up. Have him say, "Well, look, Flashpoint fucked everything up. Might as well make Rebirth."
Yeah, and I don't want to say this, but because Darkseid's such a cool character, but I don't want to keep seeing him in all these animated movies because there's other villains. Darkseid. I don't want to see Darkseid in all these villains because we've already seen him like twice. Well, technically 3 times in the New 52 run. Yeah. We see him 3 times. I don't want to constantly see him and be like, "Oh, this fucking dickhead again." But I feel like at one point,
some Destro, man, some Deathstroke,
Blackest Night,
Brainiac,
Blackest Night, dude. Come on. I can't be the only one. A 2-parter. They never done a 2-parter. At least in my head, they haven't yet. Blackest Day and Brightest Night. Blackest Day, did I just say that? Blackest Night and Brightest Day. Do that. Build up to that. Please.
I'm begging.
I'm on my hands and knees, Jeff Johns. Jeff Johns is the reason why Green Lantern is my second favorite superhero of all time. It's because of him. The lore. I'm a huge fan of colors. Colors are easy on the eyes, and Green Lantern is just easy on the eyes, and the whole lore and the characters behind it is fan-fucking-tastic. Just the lore behind it, and then build up, what's his name, Kyle Rayner? Build up Kyle Rayner. And
yeah, but that was... okay, how did you feel about Kyle Rayner being like the White Lantern?
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't the biggest fan. I feel like there could have been someone else to be, but like...
How? I get that he's got to be green, or even give it to John. I don't know. I just was like, Kyle?
Yeah,
like,
out of all
I
of
kind
them,
of feel like they pulled that out of their ass and were like, well,
I think they were like, I feel like they were like, okay, everyone likes what's the guy, Guy Gardner. Everyone likes Guy Gardner. Hal Jordan's already pretty powerful, is like the most powerful freaking Green Lantern out there because he was so powerful he can actually take down the Guardians of the Galaxy. Fuck me, the Guardians of the Universe. Jesus Christ! But like he could take down the Guardians. So you know what they did? They wiped his memory, sent him back, and they restarted the process so he didn't become that powerful and overthrow him. So they did that. So doing Hal Jordan, John Stewart, he's a fan.
Alan Scott. I know this is kind of reaching. But wouldn't it have been cool if, like...
He's technically not a Green Lantern, though.
Becomes him? I mean, I know.
He's technically not a Green Lantern.
If he was, like, the guy... Because I feel like... I just felt like Kyle was pasted in. I don't know.
I definitely feel what you're saying. As long as it's not that sidekick Green Lantern ended up getting, like, that chick. If it's not her... I don't know. Just make it... Like, again... Hal Jordan's so powerful. You can easily say it was him, but, like, he is Green Lantern. I don't want him to be White Lantern. I don't want to say this, but maybe you got to create a new character, or what you do is in the animated universe, you implement him so it makes more sense, so it's not copy and paste.
I don't know, man. I know you go hate me for this one, but I'm still on the Alan Scott stuff because you could have easily said, well, Starheart the whole time was the actual White Ring, because you could have easily said, well, fuck it. I mean, In my opinion, I feel like don't pull any of the lanterns. And now that I'm talking about it, I kind of think about it, and I'm like, well, fuck it. I guess they could pull Kyle out of the stories, and I wouldn't really give a fuck. But if they pull John out or Hal, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah, I'm not gonna hate you for it, but I don't know, because
I'm reaching. I
know you want to reach, but like, again, I understand why you don't want it to be Kyle, because the White Lantern is such a overpowered. It's close. It's god level.
Like, you can bestow life onto people. That's fucking godly.
Yeah, that's powerful. More powerful than Superman. So like,
exactly.
So imagine like you know how in the AU, I'm just gonna call it the AU. In the AU, what was his face? Reign of the Superman was like the movie before the finale. I think Brightest Day needs to be the Reign of the Superman. It needs to be the movie before the end. How do you display power? You have Dr. Manhattan. We all know he's powerful, but how do we establish that? How do we get the Thanos of beating the living shit out of the Hulk? How do we get that in the AU for this character? Launch his first invasion in this storyline, right? He's about to launch his invasion. And Dr. Manhattan's like, I'm bored of this shit. I'm tired of it. Snaps his fingers. Darkseid explodes. You establish that. And then on Manhattan's like invasion or whatever the fuck he's like, I know what you're trying to do, and I'm going to stop you. They do a cute little duel.
That would be epic.
Dude, they do a cute little duel, ends like 2 minutes, right? Because that's how powerful Dr. Manhattan is. White Lantern is literally the god of the emotional spectrum. But you have this 1 to 2 minute fight, and the Dr. Manhattan is, I'm done playing games with you. I thought I could reason with you.
Wipes.
It just fucking snaps his fingers, and he just blows up. You got guts and mush and shit like that, just floating in space. And I'm like, that's how you establish it. You build up these characters to be powerful, and then you just kind of step on them like a fucking used cigarette,
like a fucking bug.
You're just like a bug.
Dr. Manhattan is I would fair to say the most powerful character in the DC universe.
Outside of the Presence.
Yep.
Because Presence is all and be all. I think that would be a very interesting thing, because I don't think they'll ever have the balls to do it, because the Presence is such an ominous character. Like, who do you get to play that? Morgan Freeman, duh, obviously.
Yeah, man, voice of God.
Literal voice of God. He's like,
Bruce Almighty, baby.
This is the fight between the Presence and Dr. Manhattan. Morgan Freeman goes, and Dr. Manhattan just slowly turns to blue mush, and he just dies. He's like, okay, you got
it. Melts.
Yeah, and then he looks at the universe. Everyone's like, yay, Presence. He's like, I ain't done with you fuckers. I'm tired of you guys resetting shit whenever you fucking please. So he's gonna snap his fingers and makes like Earth Prime, like what they did in the Arrowverse, but less shitty. And he's like, no more time travel, no more splitting the multiverse, none of that. I'm tired of you fuckers. He's
no
like,
more fucking Earth 2s and shit.
Yeah, he's like, I'm sick and tired. You guys are the reason why this fucker is this crazy. So done, and that's the last we ever see of the Presence. Like, he's only in the show or in the movie for like a couple of minutes. But he's always in like the background, because that's what made him special, because he's in the background. But you got to be like a magnifying detective to find him. And like, the reason why we only know what the Presence looks like, because people are like reading the comics 17 times over. They're like, is that the Presence? And that's how we figured it out. So like, have him in the background, be like a simple character, and just like in the background, it's very smartly hidden. And then when it comes time, he just takes off his little top hat and cane. He's like,
the Presence, yeah.
he's like, how powerful are you? He snaps his fingers. You see a fucking black cloud over the sky, just with an eye, just like, I will destroy you. He's like, that's how powerful I am. Just saying.
As long as it's a black cloud that doesn't look like what they did to fucking Parallax in Green Lantern. Sorry to bring that up. You know that was supposed to start the DCEU.
I know.
They said this was so fucking bad. We're gonna start over. We gotta give you guys something better, a Superman film to start this off, because this fucking Green Lantern film was garbage.
And people blame Ryan Reynolds. I'm like, it's not his fault. It's the script's fault. First off, again, I told you this, right? Yeah, Green Lantern is beautiful when it comes to colors. It's literally the emotional spectrum with bright, vibrant colors. So tell me, how can a movie about Green Lantern looks so fucking ugly.
Dull, bro.
Dude,
it looks ugly.
The green
Characters
was
looked ugly.
The green in the movie, the green was like a piss green. It was like a very infectious green, and the yellow was very like low saturated.
Mustard.
It was mustard, low saturated. I'm like, this is a movie about vibrant colors. It's in the fucking name. If you want to build up the emotional spectrum, for God freaking sakes, make colors look beautiful.
Also,
oh my
they
God.
made Sinestro look fucking horrible. Horrible.
He was awful.
Mark Strong's a great actor, don't get me wrong, but he looked fucking terrible with the big giant forehead and shit. I'm like,
yeah, that forehead was pretty. That forehead was pretty distracting.
Big, massive forehead. I mean, I know they draw him with a decent sized forehead, but I feel like they over exaggerated it, man. Just get Luke Evans and Thanos his ass.
So we got some news from Webhead. Apparently DC will go back to making standalone films. I wonder if he's talking about like the AU or he's just if it's about the live action films. I already knew that, but if he's talking about like the animated universe, if they're making,
I'll be down.
I'll be down, but like I'll be heartbroken. And again, unless we get a Blackest Night,
we
Brightest
need
Day.
a Brightest Day. We need what we do need is a universe, and whether that's 17 movies or it's only like 5, we need a little pocket universe for Brightest Day, Blackest Night.
Dude, we do. We 100% do. Because Necrom... okay, when it comes to me in fantasies, like, I had before this whole Corona thing happened, I am a dungeon master for the first time ever. I'd never played Dungeons & Dragons, but in the world of fantasy, my favorite villain to have is a lich or a necromancer, right? Necrom is a superhero version of that. So take my favorite fantasy thing and put it into a superhero universe with my second favorite superhero of all time. Of course I'm going to have a fucking nerd boner. And then you have all these characters that died in the previous like comics come back to life as Black Lanterns.
Fucking
That's
amazing.
fucking
Like,
awesome, dude. That's like Marvel Zombies but badass.
And you know what's awesome is like all the different colored.
Like, oh my God, the War of
we
Light.
get to explore the violet, every single corpse.
Yeah,
it's a great story. They should adapt that.
Again, like I think that needs to be like if they do like their solo stuff, like you got a Green Lantern solo and all this stuff. After like the second Justice League animated film they do, the third one should be the Green Lantern, and it just like the end of everything because it was like the end of, it was like as big as Crisis on Infinite Earths, but just stuck on one Earth, if you will, one universe.
Yeah. It was like Crisis on Infinite and Prime Earth only.
Yeah, and it's so spectacular.
And that amazing like ending, bringing everybody into the White Lantern uniforms was fucking amazing.
Oh, dude, it's so good. I just want to see Necrom so bad.
So for the future of the DCAU, you would prefer a universe that leads up to Brightest Day and Blackest Night.
100%. Not even a question.
Same.
Not even a question. But we are going to have to end it there, ladies and gentlemen. Listen, Leo, one hell of a conversation.
Hell yeah, man.
We're going to have to do this again sometime because we talked for God knows how long. I don't even know. When did we even start? 8:30?
I don't know, man. I think we started at 8:35ish.
8:35
your time, so that was like 6:35 my time.
So that's
we've been on for 2 hours.
Holy shit, dude! I honestly, I could continue, but it's getting late, and not because I'm getting tired. It's because I know if I keep getting loud, I'm going to get in trouble. So my neighbors are slamming the wall.
I hear it.
Just like get that duck down and get cover. No, but Leo, we're going to definitely have you on again sometime in the near future. Just gotta let me know, and then I'll set you up.
Yeah, man, and come on to mine sometime too.
Yeah, definitely. Leo, where can they find you?
Guys, come on over to youtube.com/geeklygoods. That's our YouTube channel. We upload videos at least 3 times a week on the same stuff as Gump's channel, movies, games. I do anime as well, TV shows. And find us over at geeklygood.com. So it's Geekly Good. Unfortunately, I couldn't get Geekly Goods because it was a $5,000 URL. So I got geeklygood.com. Yeah, man, it's like somebody's got it up for auction for $5,000. So I was like, oh, well, that's not happening.
For $5,000, fuck that shit. Yeah, dead ass though.
Yep.
Yeah, fuck that. Well, you guys know where you can find me. Twitter, Gumps_videos. You can follow me there for the latest news and updates on my channel, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, subscribe, and all that crap. Later and goodbye. Peace.